What's up, everybody? This is Jeff Bernard with Solve Systems, and today we're going to run through a Microsoft Power Automate flow build that calls a Paylocity endpoint that will get all employees for your organization. If you don't want to follow along and build and you just want to jump into a project, follow the link in the description to download the code, and you can upload that into your Power Automate instance. So let's go. All right, so we're going to look at first a diagram on how this is going to work, then we'll jump straight into Power Automate. So we're going to have a recurrence trigger that's going to be set in Power Automate. And the reason why you would want to do this is we might need to run this endpoint every 12 hours, every 6 hours, at whatever interval to then be mapped to your end system. And so that's the reason for the recurrence trigger. What it's going to do is it's going to get all employees in Paylocity for your organization. And then we're going to return that as JSON to then be mapped to whatever system that you want. So let's look at Power Automate. Diving straight into Power Automate, we'll see there's a recurrence trigger. Right now I have it set for every 12 hours. This can be whatever you want it to be, whatever interval. Right here for the frequency. This is with the understanding that this is a high level view of how this is going to work. We have a company ID. So this will be given to you by Paylocity for either your sandbox or your organization. And then we added a variable structure here. So all of these are going to be variables. So we have company ID. We have Paylocity production URL. We're going to have the Paylocity sandbox URL. And as you'll see, there's annotations for all of the documentation for these different URLs. And then we have a URL switcher. And so what this is going to easily do is allow you to tag which URL we're going to use. This will be very easy because as flows get longer, you don't want to have to be going through and switching links out for test and production in this case. And then on broader apps, you want everything to be in variables so you can quickly switch out and test different endpoints so you're not having to rebuild and copy flows and make it really messy. So then we have the Paylocity username, and that will be used in the token request. And then we have the password. So how these relate to Paylocity API is you have to get a token, and in order to do that, you'll have to get with Webservices. They'll give you a client ID and a client secret, and then that will be used for your token request. So looking at the token request, this will be a post to the token endpoint. And then we have our URL switcher here. So this will be determined by the upper variable. And that will say, okay, well, we want to use the production endpoint or the test endpoint. And then we have client credentials here in the body. And then we have authentication type is basic, Paylocity user, password, right? So this is an HTTP action. And then we're going to parse the JSON for the token. And then we'll add another HTTP endpoint, and we'll make it a GET request. And in that GET request, we'll have the structure of the URL, and then the correct API endpoint for companies, and then it will have / company ID, which we added in the variable above for company ID, and then we'll have employees. And we make it page size 5,000 because that's the max page size. If your company has more than 5,000, it'll add pages. This video does not cover that. So keep that in mind whenever you're building these things out. You'll have to page through the request and collect everything in variables, but that's something for another video. So this should get you to where you can run this once a day. You can get everything you need, and then you can get those employees and map this to another system. And so I've included the link in the description that if you want to go and buy this and then upload it into your Power Automate, you'd be able to add your password and your username and your company ID, and you'll be up and running. So let's try this real quick. Manual test. We'll run the flow. It'll take some time, and then we'll have all of the employee JSON that will take it open right here. And there we go. So what it's going to return is the body is going to be employee ID, the status code, and the status type code. And these are going to say if they're still employed or if they are not employed. You'll then have to go and use this in subsequent calls to call the employee individually, which you can also collect into a single JSON file, which we'll cover in another video. And then you can post it into whatever systems that you need to push this into. So if you liked the video, great. If you don't want to build this, then you can go and look at the description and download this and upload it into your Power Automate and integrate this with your end system. If you need help integrating this, please reach out to me and I'd love to help you. Hope y'all have a good day.